And this time on Squarebody stuff, I'm going to show you how to put an oil pump, new pickup screen, and a small block Chevy. Hey, welcome back to Squarebody stuff. I'm going to go over installing an oil pump in your small block Chevy. Big blocks V, same thing. 4.3 V6, same thing. I'm replacing the stock style oil pump with a high volume oil pump. And I don't ever really go with a high pressure pump. Use just high volume, because if you add volume, you're adding pressure also. So this motor carried good oil pressure. This is just going to help out a little bit. The other thing I'm going to go over with it is always replace, even if you're just putting a factory style oil pump in, I like to replace the factory oil pump shaft with this plastic bushing or sleeve. It just slips in there. It gets real brittle and hard. It can break. I found several of them in the bottoms of oil pans, tearing motors down, and this is just kind of flopped around. Not a good thing. What you need to get is a good oil pump shaft with the steel sleeve. This is also a Melling brand. Got a new pickup screen, and I'm going to show you how to install that, get it the right height, where you're not too low in the pan and starving for oil, or too high and not getting enough oil. You gotta usually I set about 1/4 inch or so off the bottom of the pan, and I'll show you a couple different ways to do that. The first thing you want to do, of course, make sure everything's cleaned off. And I don't need to put my oil pump shaft in right now, because I'm going to pull this back off after I get my screen set where I want it, because I'm going to put a little tack weld on the screen and the pump body to hold that screen in place. You could also drill a hole and pin it with a roll pin or a screw. I really don't like doing that, because there is a possibility that roll pin or that screw could vibrate and fall out. I've never had any issues just making a nice little tack weld on there. You could braze it however you want to do it. I just put a little tack weld with the welder on there to hold it in place. But the first thing I'm going to do is, I've got a little lubrication on my threads of my bolt. You don't want to put it in dry. And I'm also not worried about torquing it down right now to any spec. Just make sure it's good and snug. Now, the first way I'm going to show you how to do it is, you can set it up, just get your pump screen where it's tilted up a little bit too far, further than what you want it, and take about anything that's about 1/4 inch thick. You don't want to go much more than that, because also the way we're going to do this technique is we're going to set the oil pan on, and that's going to push this oil screen down right with the level of your pan. So if we have something, you know, a 1/4 of an inch spacer on top of this, and we push it down, we've also got a gasket that's not here. So you have that, whatever spacer you use, plus the thickness of your gasket, and that's how far away your screen is going to be from the bottom of your pan. Alright, now I've showed you the easy way to do it, and it works just fine. Not really, the end result's not going to be any different. But I also want to show you a little more involved way of doing it. Take a straight edge, and tape measure across your pan rails, and we're about 7 3/8 roughly. And I'm not going to worry about my gasket thickness because it's not going to be enough to really worry about it. I'm just going to go off the rails and set this a 1/4 of an inch deeper. So we're at 7 3/8. We need to be at 7 1/8. I know you can't see it with the camera, but my pump pickup screen is not level with the block. So you can kind of eyeball it at the highest point and hold it to where you're getting about the same measurement. I'm at 7 1/2 right now. I'm going to bump it down. But there's an easier way to do it yet. Instead of doing that, I can take a level and just go off one side. I've already leveled my block. It's pretty level. Then you can just hold it on the edge of your high side, your high point of your pickup screen, and take your level. And we're at 7 3/8. Alright, we're about 7 1/8 now. Now we've got our pump screen set where we want it at 1/4 inch. You can go 3/8. I wouldn't go much more than that. I like to keep them personally a little bit lower in the pan. You've still got plenty of area here for the volume of oil you're going to be flowing. You're not going to be sucking it to the bottom of the pan. So we've got our pump screen set where we want it. The next step is I'll take this off. I'll get the table kind of cleaned off, get an area, because this is the only place I've got really to do much welding. Or I guess I can set it up somewhere else on a chair or something. But all I got to do is put a little tack weld on my pump body and the screen to get it to stay in place. Now they have a special installer tool you can buy. I don't have one. I've never used one to, I guess, get that drove in there. If you don't have a welder, but surely you can find somebody with a welder. Even a stick welder works. I've done it for years with just a stick welder. So, but that's the best way to keep them held on, or brazing it. Now that I've got my oil pump back off, I taped up all the openings. That way I don't get any welding spattering anywhere. And then I'll put a tack on there, and we'll be ready to install it back on the engine. Now we've got our pump screen tack welded. You don't have to even put that much. I got a little carried away, but it's not going to go anywhere. It really doesn't take a whole lot to hold it. The next step to installation is make sure you get your oil pump shaft engaged all the way. It kind of snaps in. Make sure you've got it seated in all the way. And it'll go through the hole on your number 5 main cap. Make sure we're seated all the way down. And always make sure you put a little bit of lubrication, just regular engine oil or assembly lube, it doesn't really matter. Just something on the threads of your bolt. That goes for pretty much any fastener when you're assembling an engine. Torque specs on a small block Chevy is 65 foot-pound. And since it's just one bolt, you don't have to go on any type of step. You just crank it on to 65 foot-pound and we'll be done. Click. We're done. So that pretty well wraps up our oil pump installation. Got a new oil pump, high volume, new pickup screen, new drive shaft with the steel sleeve. Our bolt is torqued down and our screen is tack welded to our pump so it doesn't fall off. So we're ready to put everything, start putting the tin and everything back on this engine and get ready to fire it up on a test stand. Before I let you go, I want to remind you to like, share, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, that way you get notifications of whenever I post new stuff, because I'm trying to post at least something every week, if not a couple times a week. I've got several videos just on this engine. I've already got a couple already up. I think valve spring, rocker arms, I can't remember what else. I'll have a video coming up of degreeing a camshaft. Look for that pretty soon. I'm working on it. Also, don't forget to check out my Teespring store. The link to it is in the description below. Got some pretty neat designs. Got hoodies, coffee cups, stickers, t-shirts. See that? Anyways. Also check me out on social media. My links for that's down in the description also, on Instagram and Facebook. So until next time, we will catch you later.